Hello and welcome back. In this episode, we will be discussing the book It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, as well as the movie. This episode also contains some discussion of domestic violence. If you ever need support and are based in the United States, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. You can also visit their website, thehotline.org.
Hey, chicas. Welcome to Red Lips Real Talk Podcast. I'm Jasmin.
I'm Monica.
I'm Maritza.
And I'm Deibys with a Y, and we are 4 Latinas from South Florida.
Bringing you real talk on life, love, and everything in between.
Time to get real.
Dale. Hey, ladies. How are you today?
Good. Hello.
Hey.
Good.
So this podcast is going to be a little different than we usually do. Might be a little heavy with words and triggering. So we hope you stay. But I also did want to admit we're just 4 friends talking about a serious subject. None of us here are doctors. None of us here are psychiatrists. So if we say something and maybe it rubs you the wrong way, please, we apologize in advance. We're just trying to raise awareness and it's coming from a place of love. So with that said, Monica, let's talk about that book club.
Yeah, I started a book club with us because I needed to get back into reading. And I pushed Jasmin to read a book. It Ends With Us.
Thank you.
Yeah, but she didn't want to finish it at first.
Oh, no. She called me and she was like, I can't keep reading this. You found it. What did you say?
I thought it sucked.
I didn't want to say that.
But she did not like it. Yeah.
Well, okay.
You didn't like
maybe that was a little harsh, but I like to read. But the thing is, I had already read another Colleen Hoover book, which was Verity. And even though I did like Verity, her writing style is not necessarily one that I'm a fan of. So when I started reading It Ends With Us, when I got to chapter 10, I was like, oh gosh, this girl's Lily Bloom. She owns a flower shop. She's in love with a neurosurgeon and he's hot and sexy and all this sex stuff. And I was just like, oh, it's just not my vibe, you know? But Maritza was like, Jasmin, the movie's coming out. Read the book. Because, you know, you want to know what, there's a twist. There's a twist. So I said, all right. And I finished reading it. And I'm very grateful to you for making me reconsider it because I ended up being very touched by it.
It was a good book.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading the book.
Yeah, me too. I read the book.
And I wanted you to finish it because we were going to go see the movie together.
And how did you guys feel about the movie, again, you know, compared to the book?
I think they did a pretty good job.
I agree.
You know, I know they left some things out because that's what you have to do. But I think they did a pretty good job with the adaptation of, you know, what's in the book and in the movie.
I thought so too. There was definitely parts that I felt they could have left in. I know it's hard because the movie, I think, was 2 hours and a half or 2 hours and something. It's a little bit over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to squeeze in. But like the restaurant that he worked at was called Bibs, better in Boston. And they changed the name, which I thought that was a big part of the book. She had the magnet on her refrigerator that was, I think it just said Boston or something. They never brought that up. They never talked about that. There was a lot of things that I was like, man, I wish they would have left that part in there.
Yeah.
You know? And he had one time like a poker night set up at his house, and she showed up at Atlas's house and met his friends before he got there. That was completely cut out. I thought that was a really good part in the book.
That was a good part.
Yeah, there was more stuff. It's hard to squeeze it in.
It is very hard. And believe it or not, maybe you guys may disagree with me, but one of the parts of the book that really impacted me that I actually cried was when Lily's father beat Atlas with a baseball bat.
Yes, when they were kids.
Of course, I don't expect them to be that graphic in the movie, but it would have been powerful to see him pick up a baseball bat but not show him actually doing it because that's how violent her father really was. So I think some of that harsh violence was edited out of the movie, and that was a huge part of the book, that type of situation.
Yeah, and it was very emotional.
There was a lot of women crying.
At the movie theater.
Yes, there were. And I could definitely tell that the people who were there read the book.
Yeah.
You could tell. But there were a few people who were gasping like they had no idea that this wasn't a rom-com. They were like, this is a movie about domestic violence. So that now goes into, did they do the right thing by not portraying it that way? Because what was the director's name again? Balboni? So I read this online. The movie poster was a picture of Lily, which was Blake Lively, and him. And she's like looking away and he's yelling at her. And that was the poster that he wanted to use. And they said no. What did they do? They put a picture of her looking beautiful with flowers in the background. That was a beautiful poster too, but it was a different message.
Right.
I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I personally don't.
Okay.
I think the movie did have a lot of domestic violence involved, but I don't think that the movie was a thriller, very dramatic, graphic movie. So I think that maybe that's why they didn't want to put that on the poster, because it really was more about Lily Bloom, her life, her creating this flower shop that she wanted to, how it thrived. And then there was just pieces of her love life involved. But the story was really about her and all her life growing up, her story with Atlas, the relationship her parents had, you know, her wanting this flower shop. So I mean, I think that if it would have been the other way around, it would have sent a message that the movie was going to be a little bit more, you know, thriller and more of a
Violent
movie. And in my opinion, it wasn't to that level, but it definitely touched on key things that are very important, you know, and it
That's a good
shined
point
a
of
light
view.
on things.
I really like Blake Lively. I've watched a lot of her movies. I think she's beautiful.
Yeah, me too.
I do think what's happening to her is a little harsh. But with that said, the movie was about domestic violence, and she knew that she was going to be asked questions about it. And I don't think she prepared properly for her job. And I think how she handled a lot of the questions were not professional. So, you know, she also did use that platform to promote shampoo and conditioner. Her husband was there with Wolverine, and, you know, and I could see why people found it distasteful. Whether you agree with it or not, everyone's opinion is their own. But I think she should have been more prepared to do her job properly. That's my personal opinion.
She could have done a little bit more with how he's going around and he's talking about the foundation that they're pairing up with, the No More Foundation, you know, trying to raise awareness about domestic violence. I don't think she said anything about that, but she could have done a little bit more in that aspect.
I mean, even us for this podcast, we prepared. We prepared in a matter of days. Like, for example, I have some statistics here. 1 in 4 women aged 18 and older in the United States alone have been a victim of severe domestic violence. And guess what? Men too. 1 out of 7. So how long did that take us? A couple minutes. She could have done that too. And that's my point. It's not to bash her. It's just to raise awareness. In any job that you are hired for and you're getting paid for, you need to be prepared to do your job. And that's where, in my opinion, she failed.
Yeah, that's where she's getting the most backlash. Because she was going around trying to make it more, you know, a girlfriend's vibe. Come watch the movie.
Wear your flower dresses.
Yeah, wear your flower dresses.
Which is not bad, because how else do you, I mean, what do you want? How do you want to advertise that? Come watch a man beat the shit out of me or whatever. You know, like,
you're right.
It's hard to advertise movies, and they should. I don't remember if they had any trigger warnings in the beginning, because I know in the book there's trigger warnings.
I don't think they did
in the beginning of the book.
Well, let me stand correct. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I really don't remember.
Yeah, I honestly can't.
But the book, you know, the book has it. Before you read this, it contains yada yada yada. You know, so
right.
And I guess it did take a lot of people by surprise, because they didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Right.
Although the trailers had some portions of, you know,
I don't know.
Aggression. It showed aggression.
Okay.
But it even showed aggression between Atlas and Ryle.
right.
Yeah. I think there was some scenes that showed that.
And I remember reading in her book, Colleen Hoover, she made it a point to say she didn't want this story to be the man's side, or to
Correct.
give him this big platform of abusing and hurting. She wanted it to portray Lily's side, you know, the female, and the struggle that she went through to make a change or decide that she wasn't going to continue to live in a cycle.
Right. Breaking the cycle.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And in the movie, I just from what my views were, everything he did was wrong. So it's not, what I'm about to say is not to excuse anything. But again, the movie wasn't a movie that was very dramatic, or, you know, like I was saying before, because it showed him when he did put his hands on her, it all seemed like accidents. The movie wasn't like where he would constantly beat her, come home drunk, hitting her. Oh, there's all levels of domestic violence, and they're all wrong. So I think that's another thing that the movie shines. It's not about her living in this relationship where she didn't know how to make a decision. You know, it was about him having his personal issues because of trauma he dealt with when he was a kid, and him losing his anger. He like, the whole stare situation. It seemed like he didn't even know what he did, but he did. You know what I mean? He grabbed her. He didn't know what was going on. And then he pushed her down the stairs. The kitchen, when he backhanded her by accident. All those, I forgot when he pinned himself down on her, things like that. So those were all wrong. All wrong.
I'm going to tell you, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
It's just because I've never had anyone ever hit me or touch me like
me
that.
Either.
But watching that bite mark
oh my God, it was
on
horrible.
her collarbone,
yes.
I was like, oh my God, that really...
Pushing her down the stairs was horrible. Like, I mean, all of it was it makes you gasp and get you emotional.
Well, Deibys, you mentioned something, and I immediately thought of this. You said there's all types of
domestic violence.
Well, we as a group researched that, and here are a few. So obviously there's physical abuse, there's sexual abuse, there's emotional abuse, stalking. But you know what? This is the one that really shocked me the most. Digital abuse.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, I didn't realize that they have this and it falls under, this category. It surprised me to see it. But
if you don't mind, why don't you...
Digital abuse.
Why don't you explain
the world that
it?
we live in with social media.
Yeah.
It says, digital abuse is the use of technology and the internet to bully, harass, stalk, intimidate, or control a partner. This behavior is often a form of verbal or emotional abuse conducted online. Yeah. And this is what happens. Examples, telling you who you can or can't follow or be friends with on social media, sending you negative, insulting, or threatening messages or emails, using social media to track your activities, insulting or humiliating you and their posts online, including posting unflattering photos or videos, sending, requesting, or pressuring you to send unwanted, explicit photos or videos, stealing or insisting on being given your account passwords. I mean, it's a list.
Yeah, but that's real.
Yeah, it is.
I can see it being real too because, now social media and just technology and like our phones are a walking computer. You know what I mean? Like we're connected to the internet and social media like all the time. So
how many times have women wept because their ex-boyfriends have put naked pictures of them online? They call that revenge porn, I think, or something like that. So yeah, I was like, this is another form because we're in a more modernized. Every time 10 years passes and you're like,
exactly,
more modernization, and you're like, once it's on the internet, it's there forever, which is another thing. If you're a young lady and a young man, be careful what you put online because it's there forever.
Yeah, and people can use it against you.
It could even affect you getting a job in the future.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't think about those things when you're 17,
And it can all seem very innocent in the beginning. If you're 19, 20, 21, and your boyfriend's saying, I don't like you following so-and-so. You can't be friends with them online anymore. Or, unfollow this person or don't follow that person. Or why are you still, when you had friends, and why are you still tracking them? Why are they still tracking you? Remove all that. It can seem innocent, your boyfriend doesn't want you to have those things, but it's a form of control.
It is.
They're controlling you.
Right.
Yeah. And everything has a starting point and things take time to develop and blossom. So it's like they're little things that you may not notice right away, but within time, they all end up adding up. And it's like you let go of that control with something little like that.
And they did a good job with the movie and the romance part too, because in the beginning, when they first meet on the rooftop, he's kicking the chair and he's angry. But he's angry because he just lost the boy on the table from surgery.
Right.
So it makes him look so compassionate, pushing on wanting to be with her, falling in love and, just chasing her, the chase. It can be so romantic, but that is a form of love bombing, which is also a red flag, because it's just because, they're together and like 2 months later, he's like, let's get married, and they get married. So like everything happened within a year in this story.
So can you elaborate? I apologize for my ignorance, but what does love bombing really mean? Like what does that entail too when they say he loved bomb me? Because I have an idea of what I think it is, but I really don't know.
But it's basically how you're just continuously calling someone or just there, even though they tell you, step back. Because she said, this isn't a good idea.
Okay.
I think you should step back. Even the sister's telling her, no, you shouldn't be with him. In front of him. No,
I mean, he did share with her that he doesn't really do relationships.
Right. I don't do relationships. Exactly. I'm a one-night stand kind of person. And she said, well, that doesn't work for me because I like relationships. But he continues to chase her and he continues to say, hey, you know, I want you, or let's be together, let's just have sex. Let it be a one night stand. And she's like, but that's not me. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
You know, and she, you know, it's the chase, and you feel good when someone's chasing you like that, you know, like they're giving you all the attention.
Right.
Exactly.
And it feels good. But at the same time, if you're trying to set boundaries and they're just ignoring your boundaries, that could be considered love bombing, just like full force on.
Yeah.
You know, like I know with kids when they're young, they get in a relationship and they're like, I love you after 2 weeks of being together, dating or whatever. You know, it's when you're young, not a big deal. You love a lot of people. And when my daughter
older people do that a lot too, Monica.
Right. And I get it. There's some relationships that there's a real connection and you don't have to know the person for 10 years to know, or 2 years to know that that's the right person for you. And it's mutual. But when it's like one-sided, where it's just like pushing and pushing, that can be a little scary because that could be like stalkerish.
Yeah.
Right. It's a thin line. It's like it's a very thin line of when it becomes love bombing, or if it's really there's this connection and you, at the same time, you want somebody to fight for you if they really want to be with you, and you are feeling these emotions back. And sometimes, you know, people like to play the hard to get. So it's like, it's that thin line of like, is this just like a little, you know, not a game, but like, you know, the little attraction game. I'm chasing you. You're saying no, but you kind of want it to still go out with me. And you know what I mean? Or is it that thin line of this guy is like not getting me saying that, like, I really don't want to do this, or I don't want to go out. It's a thin line.
You know, I wanted to go back to the marketing, if you don't mind. I just got something in my brain right now. I remembered my daughters went to see the movie and they're in their 20s. And one of my daughters was like, Mom, there were like 13, 14-year-old girls there with their moms. And they were like, oh, you know, and they ended up standing up and leaving. And I think that's why marketing is also critical, because if parents don't know and they think it's a love movie and you take your 13-year-old to see that, I think that's why there's a responsibility.
I don't mean to cut you off, but wasn't the movie rated R?
I was just going to ask, what was the rating?
It's not rated R.
I
wasn't
13.
sure. So why would a mother bring their daughter to a rated R movie?
You're right. But maybe the way it is the parent's responsibility.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But maybe the mom didn't realize it was going to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm just saying, I just feel a certain way about the marketing.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
What is it rated?
PG-13.
Really? I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
I'm very, very surprised.
I didn't know.
I don't think
the
it's
rating.
a PG-13 movie.
No, I don't either.
I wasn't sure.
I'm not either. So
I just automatically assumed it was rated R because I've read the books and I know about it. So I'm like, how? There's no way this is PG-13.
Okay, they didn't show the hardcore sex scenes, but there was like steamy stuff there.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just my feeling about it. There could have been just a little bit more responsibility on the marketing and how they answered specific questions. Because back in the 80s, Julia Roberts did a movie called Sleeping with the Enemy. Do you ladies remember that movie?
Yes.
Now, that movie was really that impacted me, and I was a really young girl.
That was very intense.
But Julia Roberts answered some questions. Do you mind if I play a little video on that? Do you mind?
No. This is an interview?
Yeah.
How do you think that you personally would react if you had been in her shoes?
That's not for me to really say. I can't even fathom being in a situation quite that horrible. It's not in my realms of understanding.
It's not mine either, but I think that just my own makeup, I just fight back, you know. I doubt that I would have been able to take it for 3.5 years the way she did.
But I think it's a process of manipulation that grows and becomes stronger than that. It's not kind of that cut and dry. I think it's amazingly psychological and very destructive. So I don't think it's quite that simple.
So, again, that was a long time ago, but I feel like she was prepared to answer that question. Now, I'm not trying to pin one woman against another. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to show how it could have been handled. So here's Blake Lively.
If we're lucky enough to run into a celebrity in public, we only have a few moments to maybe speak with you guys. But for people who see this movie, who relate to the topics of this movie on a deeply personal level, they're really going to want to talk to you. This movie is going to affect people and they're going to want to tell you about their lives. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. We could just location share you, and then we could. I'm just curious about
social security number.
I'm a Virgo, so I'm like, are we talking logistics? Are we talking emotionally? Or, what's
So I think that's why she's getting the backlash, because I have not been able to find one interview where she was able to at least say something right, something empathetic. She did one little Facebook or story, one. That's it. But I'm shocked that you had years to prepare and you weren't able to once say anything. And that's just how I feel. But she did look beautiful. I will tell you that. She looked gorgeous.
I'm still shocked about Julia Roberts' interview, her comment. I couldn't believe that lady.
Oh, that lady. Yeah, that's...
I never heard that clip. So when I heard the lady say that, I'm like, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's what happened. That's why having these type of podcasts or conversations, better said, are good, because I have said really, really stupid shit, Deibys. I have. But it's not because I want to be mean or hurtful, but it's because I'm ignorant to it. I don't know. So I blurt things out. And then later I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. You know?
We all have.
And that's how we learn. And that's how we grow. And that's how we evolve. And I definitely would never tell anybody how to live their life. I just get a little scared when children are involved. I think that's when maybe I might be like, think about your child, because they're watching that. And I have a cousin. I'm not going to say who she is. She worked with severe domestic violence for women, and a lot of her cases passed away. Yeah. And some of them, I won't even say them what they did, because I can't even believe it. So it's very real. And if you're listening and you're in a situation like this, reach out to someone that you can trust, that's not going to judge you, that's going to help you. And if you feel like you have no one, there's a 1-800 number you can call. What's that number again, Monica?
1-800-799-7233.
And what is the website, Maritza? Do you know?
Thehotline.org.
Thehotline.org. Okay. We care, and we always want to be women supporting other women. And if you're feeling a little scared, there's professionals out there to help you.
There's also a text. You can text START to 88788.
So on that note, because we're human beings and we all make mistakes, I thought it would be good to bring up what not to say to people, because I know I'm guilty of it. And I found a few things online. And let's say you're driving right now and you're listening to this and you have a friend or a sister or maybe your brother, because honestly, men get abused too. So let's keep it real. But what are some of the things that you shouldn't say? Well, here are a few. Did you provoke him? It takes two to tango. Well, the children, they need a father. Him? Really? He's such a nice guy. Or you guys should go to couples counseling. Are you aware you're making it awkward for everyone around you? But you are such a strong woman. How can you let him do that to you? You see how I worded these things? That can come out so easily. Don't do that. And I'll end that by saying, maybe you have good intentions and you're like, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to send her something in the mail or like email her something or like a brochure. Don't do that, because maybe the person she's living with is going to find the email, see the email, get the brochure, and then that's going to get her or him in even more trouble. So yeah, it's a lot of learning on the do's and the don'ts, but I think the do's should be very simple. I love you. I'm here for you. If you need me, I'm here. And here are some places you can go to for help. I mean, honestly, that's as far I think we can go.
It is. You can try helping someone, but it's really up to that person to make the choice. They got to decide for themselves,
Yeah, you kind of have to wait for them to come to you.
You can't force them.
No.
You can just be there for them.
Be there for them when they're ready.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask a question? Because this is a real question that I have. We're all mothers. If that was happening to your daughter, would you be like this, or would you really get involved? Because me personally, if one of my daughters was in this situation, I don't think I could follow the rules, you guys. I know the rules are the right thing to do, but that's my daughter.
Right. And of course, that's your daughter. You want to get involved, but you got to be careful too, because if, like they said, it's emotional, right? Also, there's a lot of I don't know if you want to call it brainwashing involved. So they may feel like there's nothing wrong, or they may, They
may be too scared and they'll shut you out and maybe move away.
You're right. It's
leave.
A thin line.
Yeah.
It's just, I go into mama mode.
Yeah. No, it's understandable, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can only be, and I know because I know people that have gone through it and with their kids, and you can only give advice, that's not right. They shouldn't treat you that way, or you deserve to be treated with love and respect. Just I'm here for you whenever you're ready. Come talk to me. They'll come to you. They'll come to you for help.
They'll come to you when they're ready for help. And when they are, you just have to be ready to help them, whatever that is. No judging. You can't talk to them with that judging tone and the judging words, because they'll shut down.
And it's so easy to judge.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right.
And safety plan, help them with the safety plan. Can't be surprised if they change their mind, because that happens often too. They go back.
Yeah.
And you got to wait again.
We have a list from thehotline.org for people so they can provide essential emotional support to their loved ones or someone they know. Acknowledging that their situation is difficult, scary, and brave of them to regain control from. Not judging their decision and refusing to criticize them or guilt them over a choice they make. Remembering that you cannot rescue them and that decisions about their lives are up to them to make. Not speaking poorly of the abusive partner, helping them create a safety plan, continuing to be supportive of them if they do end up in the relationship and are understandably lonely, upset, or return to their abusive partner. Offering to go with them to any service provider or legal setting for moral support, material support, and depending on the situation, a survivor may be financially dependent on an abusive partner or otherwise lacking access to material resources. One of the most immediate ways you can support someone experiencing relationship abuse is by helping them with their material needs. So, very informative here.
Absolutely correct. The power, if you're dependent financially on the spouse, I could see why that's a factor of you not being able to leave as well, the power behind that.
And where did you find this article? So people can always, look it up to read the full.
On thehotline.org, in the website. It also says, help them by storing important documents or to-go bag in case of an emergency situation. Because, they can't keep that in their house.
Right.
Encourage them to participate in activities outside of their relationship with friends and family and be there to support them in such a capacity.
Friends and family is critical, the love and support.
There's a lot here. These examples are by no means comprehensive, but provide an understanding of ways to support a survivor that can help protect their safety. Very helpful information.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I also wanted to talk about, I know teenagers, they fall in love and they get in relationships. And it's kind of hard for parents to get involved in that. Just because there is also a lot of teen violence in dating. And there's a website called breakthecycle.org, and it lists a parent's guide to identifying and preventing teen dating violence. Just in case if there's signs that you're seeing and you're just not sure. When your teen is apologizing for their partner's behavior and makes excuses for them. When they lose interest in activities that they used to enjoy. They exhibit symptoms of depression and anxiety. Maybe they never did this before, and now they do. Changes in sleep patterns, appetite changes, physical complaints, unexplained headaches, stomach aches. Withdrawal, pulling away from friends, family, activities that they used to enjoy, declining academic performance, irritability or mood swings if they engage in self-harm or feelings of hopelessness.
Yeah. I have my daughters. They're not teenagers anymore, but they're still in college. And that's why I said, what can parents do? Because I would want to just get involved, but it's such a thin line, like you ladies said. It's a lot of education needs to go behind this.
Yeah, and all these links will be in the show notes.
I remember many, many years ago, in the hip hop 90s and stuff like that, how we idolized people like Puff Daddy. And look what happened.
I know. I can't believe that this even is happening and it's taking so long for anything to result in him being arrested or anything. Those videos surface with him and Cassidy, and it's nothing happened. People, commented and there was a little media talk about it. And then it's just kind of okay, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And the people that are involved with him, and it's so deep. And I just feel why hasn't nothing happened?
And why did that video come out so late?
Yeah.
Because she had accused him a long time ago.
Yep.
And when I saw that video, even I saw it on TV with my husband, and he was like, oh my God, even him, he was like, qué animal. He was like, ¿cómo le pega a una mujer así? I'm sorry. He's basically saying in English, what an animal. How can he hit her like that? Because even men were like, that was horrible what he did to her. Yeah. And where is he? What's going?
Yeah,
He's
nothing,
free.
just chilling.
And his first wife, Kim, she ain't alive anymore. So I don't know. I mean, like maybe they should look into that because she was so young.
There's a lot to look into.
A lot to
and
look
a lot
into.
of people involved. I just don't understand why it's taking so long for there to be any type of result,
But I think now because people are raising awareness and having conversations, like something so simple like us four being here and doing this now, it's making people find the courage within themselves to talk. Like the Me Too movement. I mean, I know that's a completely different subject, but it's allowing people to open up and say, no, this happened to me.
Right.
And your voices matter.
And I know October is considered Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So a lot of things you'll be seeing a lot of things come out and campaigns and stuff.
Yeah. Do we want to wrap it up?
This is more nerve-wracking than any other one.
Yeah, well, because we don't want to.
Because it's deep, and and my heart hurts for these women and men, and it's like I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I love that you just said that right now. I mean, honestly, we're trying to wrap this up, and we want to say the right things, but we're human beings, and I actually feel like crying.
I know, me too.
Because I'm like, how many women are listening to us right now, and probably like, that's me,
Right.
and you matter.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. But we're gonna end this with hopefully some beautiful words of inspiration. So, Deibys, go ahead.
Remember that everyone deserves to have a healthy, loving, and respectful relationship, free from domestic violence, no matter what. Just because it's explainable doesn't mean it's excusable.
Yes, and I want to also remind you the National Domestic Violence Hotline provides confidential support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can call 1-800-799-7233, 1-800-799-SAFE, or you can text START to 88788. They also provide online chat at thehotline.org.
And with that, we promise on our next podcast, it'll be very lighthearted, hopefully. We appreciate you so much. If you'd like to leave us some comments about this subject, please feel free to do so. We appreciate you. Remember, you matter, and may God bless you.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss an episode.
We will be dropping an episode every 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. No, like seriously. Subscribe now.
So just chill to the next episode. Follow us on Insta and TikTok.
Hasta la próxima.